Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today for this information session on the Longwood Gardens Fellows Program. My name is Kate Chubbuck. I'm the Vice President for Engagement and Learning here at Longwood, and I'm really excited to talk with you about this amazing leadership accelerator that we are delighted to be hosting here at Longwood. Before we get started, just briefly to give you an overview of our time, I'm going to give some high-level information about the program and its different components. We are then going to be joined by two of our illustrious alumni, Ed Moydell from Holden Gardens and Katie Sirach, who's at the architect of the Capitol. We'll have a Q&A with them. They'll provide a lot of information about sort of their experiences and what it was like for them to be a fellow, the benefits of the program. And if we have time at the end, we will do questions. So at any point, you can put a question in the Q&A. We will also, if we don't have time to get to your own questions in this time, we will be sharing contact information at the end of the session, and you can always email us, and we'd be delighted to provide you with some more kind of custom guidance. So first, I want to share a little bit about Longwood Gardens, in case you are not overly familiar with us as a location. Years before Longwood was a public garden, the land was home to the native Lenni Lenape tribe and also had Quaker farmland. It was purchased by Pierre S. DuPont in 1906 to save the trees. He wanted to preserve the arboretum that was already on site. And in the last little more than a century, we've become one of the great gardens of the world, enjoyed by more than 1 million guests a year. Our goal is to contribute to society through diverse educational programs, such as the Fellows Program, through horticultural research and conservation, environmental stewardship, and also our cultural and community engagement programs. Our mission, which I think is really beautiful, is that we are the living legacy of Pierre S. DuPont, and we want to bring joy and inspiration to everyone through the beauty of nature, conservation, and learning. And that learning is in our mission statement is really important. We do take our role as educators very seriously. Our programs are largely free of charge, including the Fellows Program. Programs like the Fellows Program also include housing and a stipend, and are part of the way in which we want to give back to the world of public gardens and really embrace our core values of excellence, professional leadership, fiscal alignment and stewardship, and community engagement. And we try to equip our fellows as leaders with all the skills they will need to support the public gardens long-term and the health of public gardens. So what is the Longwood Fellows Program? This is a leadership accelerator that's approximately a year long. The dates vary a little bit year to year, that is meant to prepare high potential professionals for high impact roles in public horticulture. So if you are in a management role or really are sort of in the kind of early to mid stages of your, not like beginning career, but like enough into your career in public horticulture that you know that you really want to devote yourself to public gardens, you're interested in a leadership role in public gardens, this is a great program for you. And we'll go through sort of the different ways in which we attempt to equip individuals for those leadership roles. And leadership can be broadly defined. I mean, depending on what aspect of public gardens you're interested in, what that might look like will be a little bit different. But we've had alumni go on to be directors, CEOs, vice presidents of horticulture, directors of public programs, marketing, a wide range of programs within the public garden world, both within the US and internationally. This is a global program. You are never too old at any stage of your career at which this really would be a good fit for you, where it would really help advance the world of public gardens. This is really an amazing opportunity to really sort of jumpstart your career and get that kind of maybe sort of more businessy training that a lot of horticulturalists in particular often don't have as part of their original horticultural training. The vision of the program is for our alumni to have the clear kind of people skills, technical capacity, and robust professional networks to lead organizations that are dynamic, equitable, resilient, strategic, and thriving. We want to make sure that you spend a lot of time actually visiting other gardens. You're not only at Longwood as part of this program, but you do take some short courses, which we'll get into, with the goal of giving you kind of all the kind of skills and networking within your toolkit to really advance your career within the public garden world, whether in the US or abroad. The approach that we take is very much a cohort approach. So it is a small global cohort of mid-career professionals. We take sort of 4 to 6 individuals a year from around the world. Our current cohort has, I think, 3 from the US, 2 who are international. Our incoming cohort has 3 international and 1 American. Every year, the balance is a little bit different. It is an intense living and working environment in that the fellows do primarily live within the same house together here at what's called Holly Hill. We are just across the street from Longwood Gardens. There's a classroom and living spaces on the ground floor, as well as some offices, such as the one that I'm in right now. And then the bedrooms are on the top floor. For many people, it's the first time they've actually been living with other individuals for a while, if you're kind of mid-career. But it is, I think that kind of cohort networking aspect of the program is really important. On occasion, on a kind of case-by-case basis, we can accommodate sort of one member of a cohort who may live within Kennett Square, which is where Longwood is located in Pennsylvania. But that individual would still need to be available for all of the travel, the kind of after hours, dinners, and other opportunities that we provide. It is very rigorous. There's an emphasis on hands-on learning, applied learning, as well as the kind of leadership development and networks. That the networking in particular, I would say, is one of the real advantages, benefits, and focuses of the program to sort of meet garden professionals from all over the world and really sort of build your base in that way so that when you do advance in your career as a leader, you already have a network of people to draw upon as sort of a brainstorm ideas with, share commonalities. Many gardens face similar challenges and sort of have that as part of what the program gives to you. And you also join our Society Fellows Alumni Network when you finish, of all the alums, both of this iteration of the program and from the earlier iteration of the program that Ed will speak to when we were a master's degree program through the University of Delaware. So the program can sort of be looked at through kind of 3 core components. There is a classroom-based instruction with homework and readings and some like small projects. A lot of the focus then though is on applied learning. You do industry-focused research project as a cohort, which is another reason why it's actually helpful to all be together because that is a very intense project. We'll talk a little bit more about it in a few minutes. You also do a department immersion with one of Longwood's core departments. Um, that can be within horticulture, it could be marketing, it could be engagement and learning, our plant records. It really depends on the individual nature of what you as an individual are looking to get out of the program. And then there's a 2-month garden placement, which is really extraordinary, where if you are an American fellow, you go abroad. And then if you are an international fellow, you stay within the US for visa reasons. But we have 14 partner gardens all over the world. Our current fellows are actually just finishing their garden placements. They went to Kew, Royal Botanic Gardens, Edinburgh, Annick Gardens in the UK, as well as Gardens by the Bay in Singapore, and also the Morton Arboretum just outside of Chicago here in the US. And doing a project with a partner garden is really, it happens sort of towards the end of the fellows program, and it really allows you to apply a lot of your learning and skills and knowledge and give something back to one of our partner gardens, as well as gain a lot of, again, networking and experience. Which brings us to the kind of third really core component, which is that professional network expansion. We have thought leader dinners here on site at Holly Hill, sort of an opportunity to sort of interact more casually with garden leaders who live in the area. There's also an opportunity to attend conferences, particularly the American Public Gardens Association annual conference. There are mentors, there's executive coaches, and then again, the Alumni Society, because we see that as a real help to you as you look to advance your career. So for the core curriculum, the kind of key areas of impact that we focus on are self, teams, organizations, industry, and society. As sort of, looking both, having a lot of self-awareness is sort of the first step, learning more about executive presence, knowing what your career goals are. There's a lot of opportunity to tailor this program to what will best suit you. So having a clear sense of what you want to get out of the program is really helpful, as well as sort of how you work in teams, both the cohort team itself, but also the teams within Longwood Gardens or in the garden placement, I think are really important. We have some sort of deep dive on things like management fundamentals and conflict resolutions, but you also learn a lot about how organizations work, both themselves, but also with industry and society in terms of organizational behavior, strategic planning, master site planning, and getting sort of a good sense of like the kind of toolkit you would need as a leader of a public garden. So some of our short courses that we typically offer are organizational behavior, some just basics on how organization works, nonprofit finance that's geared towards garden leaders, board relations and governance, master site planning, which as a garden leader is something that is often very important, executive presence, conflict resolution, also emergency preparedness, like especially in this era of changing climates, that's incredibly important skills to have. And there's some self-facilitated kind of reading groups around sort of hot topics in garden leadership that the fellows, we provide the suggestions for the readings, but fellows can also make suggestions and facilitate that themselves. The others are all facilitated by experts in the field. We also do a variety of offsite certifications. These can last anywhere from 2 days to 5 days. For the cohort that's starting with us this May, the three that we are doing is leading future-ready teams with Michigan Ross Business School, program evaluation for mission impact with the Indiana University, and everyone's favorite usually is a week-long kind of beyond strategic planning with the Harvard Business School. And those are indicative of also the kind of offsite certifications that we've done in the past. They usually come not just with an actual certificate, but a digital one that you can put on your LinkedIn profile as a way of, again, sort of showing, demonstrating the toolkit that you have as you then apply for future jobs. Our department immersions are an opportunity to really get to know Longwood better, to be embedded within one of our core departments, to be able to be there kind of, it's often not a 5-day-a-week program just because of the other commitments on the fellows' time. Fellows do go to all of our board meetings, for example, and our board committee meetings, which gives you, again, a really incredible look at how an organization operates. But through the department immersion and also the exposure to like Longwood leaders and our core leadership team and the mentoring that we do, it's really using Longwood as a case study for how a large public garden operates, but which does have some transferable skills and ways that you can also imagine how that can come down to a smaller garden or a smaller arboretum. That might have sort of, again, I think many of us face similar challenges and no matter what size of garden we are. So this is a great way to really be able to attend department meetings, understand how a department works, but also to do a project that is identified both by you and by Longwood as being sort of mutually beneficial. This is one of the ways in which you get to begin to sort of tailor your experience. We don't just sort of randomly put you in a department. The placement is based on your interest and what you really hope to gain and learn from this experience. So again, the more directed you are and have a clear sense of like what you want to get out of the program, the more you can really tailor the program to sort of meet those needs that you have to really advance your career. For our field placement partners, we have 14 around the world, a wide variety of different types of gardens, different plant palettes. I think a lot of really exciting opportunities. I have not yet heard anything negative from anyone about their garden placements. Again, it's, I think, usually a real highlight. These last for 2 months, and again, it's around having a project that sort of fits the needs of the individual garden and also your own developmental goals, whether that's within horticulture, marketing, interpretation, engagement and learning, human resources, whatever area of a garden that you're interested in, sort of making that kind of match between what the partner garden has to need for and what your development needs are, and sort of trying to match make that way so that it's the best possible experience for both. Typically, fellows live in an Airbnb, which is all paid for by Longwood. We pay for the transportation. We pay your living expenses while you're at the garden. The stipend that we pay you while you're at Longwood continues while you're in your garden placement. And there's usually an opportunity for about a week afterwards to also travel within the region to sort of see other gardens. And the idea is to meet with other garden professionals, expand your knowledge, your network, and your understanding how gardens of different sizes, scales, localities operate, and the kind of challenges and opportunities that each has. The cohort project is the kind of one kind of common theme that's from the beginning to the end of the whole program. And I did actually bring an example to show, as well as the ones that we have on the screen. These really do turn out beautifully. Our marketing department lays them out. Each one is a little different. Many of them have a booklet as part of it. Some of them have, like this particular one has a number of individual cards as well. This one is a toolkit for advancing employee development. Others have focused on organizational assessment, finance. The current cohort that we have right now is doing one on social sustainability that is actually going to include a podcast as well. There's opportunities to be creative with this, but this is something that you work on as a cohort. You as a cohort determine the theme. We assist you through helping to administer a survey within the American Public Gardens Association community to give you some data and resources. We also have our library, which is on the beautiful department immersion slide, with a lot of resources that are available that way, both electronically and as the library itself. And then you write the content, you develop it. It's edited through a combination of yourself, the director, as well as our marketing team. And then this is presented at the American Public Gardens Association annual conference that happens at the end of your time. It's sort of your kind of culminating capstone experience, really is this cohort project. And one that I know Ed and Katie can speak to is something that you can continue to draw upon in future years. It also, while we are not a degree granting program, what we have found is that this project is often seen as sort of comparable to like a master's degree thesis. We recently had a fellow who was interviewing for a VP role where they had required a master's degree for it. That individual did not have a master's degree, but they took the Longwood Fellows program as a substitute, particularly because of this cohort project, both the creation of it, the presentation, the research that goes into it. So again, that's another way of sort of jumpstarting your career, particularly if you are a non-traditional student who may not already have that type of credentialing. And last but certainly not least is our flexible curriculum. So each fellow has a budget of, I think for next year, it's $7,000 to use as partly for additional training. We've had people do other certification programs that are in areas of interest. For example, like fundraising, if you know that you want to go into development, or if you wanted to do a landscape design certificate, you can use the money that way. We've had people use it for project management professional certifications before. It can also be used to visit gardens and arboreta around the world. It's the money that often, if the fellows do choose to spend like a week or so after their placement and travel and learn more about the local gardens for where they have been, that's the budget that they use. It requires a proposal, either to me or to the director, as well as a reflection report at the end about how the expenditure has supported your leadership development. It cannot be used for tangible things, like something that you would take with you. It can only be used for educational experiences, whether coursework or garden visits, where you're also meeting with members of the garden staff. But this is an incredible opportunity and really part of like our service to the garden world to tailor your experience so that what you come away from the program really again helps to elevate your career, elevate your learning, and is very specific to you. Especially given that this is a global program, there are things like fundraising that vary widely depending on where you're from. The rules within the US are different from, say, Canada or the UK. So this curriculum helps you to really customize to what will be most helpful for you as an individual. And we're very proud of this program. We've had a number of really notable alumni, including like the CEO of Mount Desert Island Land and Garden Preserve, a number of vice presidents of horticulture, including at Lewis Ginter, the director of the Idea Center for Public Gardens at the Denver Botanic Gardens, also like the lead horticultural at the Smithsonian, the people who go into their own businesses, such as Conquer the Soil. Internationally, we've also had a number of really high-profile placements, including the head of Parks and Gardens at the Office of the President in Ghana, the Assistant Director of Garden Operations at Gardens by the Bay in Singapore, the head gardener at the Trevens Estate. It's a wide range, and as you'll see, this isn't only public horticulture, it's also people working within the public gardening world for engagement, advancement, um, the Ideas Center. There's a wide range. So the main kind of core common element is that this is a program that is for public garden professionals and meant to really sort of elevate and advance and accelerate your career as a public garden professional. And the Society of Fellows Alumni Network is a benefit I've talked about that I think is really phenomenal. Again, expand your network. And I think with that, the next slide is probably, one last bit, which is sort of what we look for. Sorry, this is very important. So our applications will open on June 1st and they close on July 31st. And Ed and Katie can speak to this more as well, especially as Ed also serves on our selection committee. But again, number one, we're looking for a demonstrated commitment to public horticulture. If you are a career changer, that could be something like the volunteer time that you've spent working at a garden or a farm or an arboretum, but something that really demonstrates that you are serious about your commitment to public gardens. This is a free subsidized program that is meant to advance the garden world. We look for people who are really striving for professional and personal excellence, who have demonstrated leadership ability, which can be defined in a variety of ways. Um, Intellectual curiosity, the team player bit and strong collaborator is super important, particularly as that cohort project is such a central part of the experience. So you can be a strong individual contributor, but you also really need to be able to be a strong member of a team. And that can mean, in part, knowing like when to lead, when to recess, like how you collaborate, come to consensus. That's all really an important part of this program. Strong communication, interpersonal skills, commitment to the greater good, which I tend to see as sort of a subset of a commitment to public horticulture because I think public gardens do a lot of good. Respect and vision, desire for innovation and improvement, and really self-motivated and also resilient. This is also a program that it's very strenuous, it's rigorous, it's not a standard kind of 40-hour a week job. You will be examining parts of yourself sometimes through some of these assessments that may not always be the parts you're most proud of. So being able to be resilient and think like, what can I gain from this? How can I learn from it? And how do I want to move forwards? I think is really important. It takes resilience also to go abroad, whether it's coming abroad to Longwood or going abroad as part of your garden placement and being able to really adapt and engage with the garden that you're part of. So these are all, I would say, some of the kind of core aspects that we look for in applicants. And we provide housing, we provide a stipend, biweekly stipend, health insurance, the travel costs for both the American Public Gardens Association conference, as well as a field placement and the flex budget for the personal professional development, that kind of individualized curriculum to really help you elevate your career. We have already selected our cohort that's going to start in 2025. They come actually next month. So the June 1st application cycle is for, but that's fine. It's for the group that will start in summer of 2026, and then we'll end at the APGA conference in 2027. We have that long window because for a lot of our international applicants, the visa process can be very long. And so it is a little bit of time, but again, this is a commitment to yourself, to your future, and to your career. Our in-person interviews for this next cohort will be here at Longwood in November, and the decision will be made by early December. So you do also then have quite a long runway before the program starts to figure out any personal details you may have. Many of our applicants and successful fellows have families and children that they are leaving behind for a year. That can be challenging. We have some resources and people we can put you in touch with to talk about sort of how that was for them. In fact, noticing both of the individuals we have on the screen right now are mothers, and so we want to make sure that you have enough time to really figure out your own circumstances before you arrive with us. But it's an amazing program and a really incredible investment in yourself and your career. And Katie and Ed will talk more to that. So without further ado, I'm delighted to kind of turn this over to Ed Moydell and Katie Strock, who are both distinguished alumni of our program. Ed went through it when it's still a part of the University of Delaware. Katie did the current iteration of the program, which has been entirely here at Longwood. And I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves, and then we have some questions that will hopefully be very informative for you as applicants. Thank you both.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Katie Surrock. I am the Gardens and Grounds Manager for Architect of the Capitol at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C., and I was in the cohort that ended in 2022. And I'll pass it over to Ed.
Hi, everybody. I'm Ed Moydell. I'm the CEO of Holden Forests and Gardens in Northeast Ohio. That includes the Holden Arboretum, which is a 3,500-acre arboretum just outside of Cleveland, and the Cleveland Botanical Garden, an 11-acre urban oasis in the city. Previously, I was the president and CEO of Blodell Reserve for 14 years, and that's a public garden and forest preserve off the coast of Seattle. As Katie mentioned, or as Kay mentioned, I graduated from the Fellows Program back when it was a little bit different in 2006. It was a 2-year Master of Science program, and it was anchored at the University of Delaware. It was a master's program that was thesis-based. My thesis was to develop a center for training, education, and research to help prepare people for careers in public gardens. It was a lot more academic. It was still really team-based, and there were, many of the fundamental philosophies were still in place. Before coming to the Fellows Program, I have an undergraduate degree from Oklahoma State University, also in public horticulture. After I finished the program, I stayed on staff at Longwood for a few years as the education planning specialist, and started up the Center for Public Horticulture, and Longwood was a partner for that. Then I moved out to Blodell Reserve. And amusingly enough, my predecessor there, who was the founding director, was actually also a Longwood Fellow back from the late 60s. So the program has a significant pedigree, and there's a lot of leaders around the country that have made a big difference in different organizations, and you can't go too far without finding people that have been a part of it or supported through it. I learned so much at Longwood as part of the program, but the learning hasn't stopped. And even though it's been about 20 years, I've felt really fortunate to maintain a strong connection and have a good relationship to many team members since I've graduated. And I think even when I went through the program that long ago, I think we started to recognize that the field was changing, and some of the things that the program was focusing on or not focusing on some of the people coming out of the program, myself included, weren't necessarily ready to excel in some of the situations that presented themselves in the sort of the modern world and the changing needs of the field. So about 8 years ago, the Longwood brought together an international group of advisors to talk about what the needs in the field were and what professionals needed to have in order to be equipped to succeed within some of the new roles. And I was lucky enough to be a part of that team. And then the program was retooled based off of that feedback. And the model of it shifted to reflect what Kay described in the beginning. And then I was recruited to be a part of the selection committee, and I've served on that since 2017. And I consider it a great honor that in my professional life, I've been able to work with three fellows, three graduate fellows, and I've been able to hire two, including our current director of botanical garden horticulture at CBG.
Thank you, Ed and Katie. That's really fantastic. And yeah, we can stop sharing the slides now. Thank you. So I think my first question for both of you is who should apply for the program? Like if you were to think of like applicant for the fellows program, what comes to mind?
Ed, would you like to start? Okay. Anyone who is looking to grow as a leader in public garden should apply to this program. It can seem intimidating at first, but there's such a plethora of wonderful horticulturalists, public garden leaders who are looking to grow themselves. And this is the perfect program. It's so unique, and there's not many programs in the world that are like it. So if you're interested in furthering your education and looking for professional development, it is customized to prepare you for a leadership role. And I can say the array of coursework that I took and the opportunities laid a wonderful foundation for anyone who wants to make an impact in public horticulture. And I found that it gave me the opportunity to really do a deep dive. And if for my future, I wanted to work in a small, medium, or large size garden, because you have the opportunity to visit them, to interact with their leaders, and to get an understanding of what you're looking for in your career. At the time, I had just, when I went to an APGA conference in California, and I had just gotten a master's certificate, and I knew that I wasn't getting the leadership experience that I wanted in my current role, and I needed to seek guidance elsewhere. And it would just happen that I had met a current fellow at the APGA conference who convinced me, just apply. It's a wonderful opportunity. This is everything I did this year alone. And she convinced me in about 5 minutes to apply to the program. So I highly recommend just take the chance and have the courage to apply. Even just the interview process is an experience, and you'll continue to learn about yourself. Ed, what do you think?
Yeah, I'd echo a lot of what you mentioned, Katie. And I think also adding to that, sort of putting on my selection committee member hat, I think we really look for people that are really passionate about this work, and they're passionate about plants and about people and bringing them together. I think we look for people who have practical experience in public horticulture and related fields. They have some demonstrated leadership. I think I really look for authenticity and people who are like comfortable in their own skin, and especially admitting when they maybe aren't comfortable with something, and that they're open-minded and willing to take, a calculated risk and grow. Um, I look for people who like to work with others and who like to solve problems, and people that are lifelong learners. And I think too, building a little bit on what you mentioned, I think sometimes people sort of exclude themselves in advance of having applied because they think maybe they aren't the ideal applicant for it. But really, the strongest classes are the ones that have a lot of diversity, and that's diversity in lots of different ways. When I went through the program, I was in my mid-20s, and there were people who were more than twice my age and somewhere in the middle, and we learned a lot from one another. And I think that that's where so much of the strength comes from. It's not if you're too young or you're too old. It's about where you are in your career and your desire really to grow and to elevate.
I feel that way too. The diversity really makes the program unique, and having the opportunity to interact with the people that you may not have interacted with in any other circumstance. It really gives a lot of breath and life to the program to be able to have those experiences. And I learned so much from each of my colleagues internationally and nationally, because we all came from such different career backgrounds, and our age range was completely different spectrums, different cultures, and that's what made us a strong team.
Yeah, thank you both for that. I think that's a really important point. I think our typical cohort has between sort of 15 to 20-year span and ages. So it's, again, more where you are in your leadership journey. But I really like what you noted also, Ed, about like, don't reject yourself. Like, try it out, see about it. Katie's, your point about even the interview process of meeting other people who are similarly really involved in public horticulture, that can be a great opportunity. Regardless of the outcome, I think is important. For each of you in your careers, what do you think some of the program's ongoing benefits have been for you?
I think one of the biggest things for me was the professional network, and that includes both the people that you get to know, your the people that you interview with, the people that you go through the program with, the people at Longwood, the people at different organizations, and then the places that you get to go, both around the corner and around the world. I think also by joining this, you join an alumni network that goes back literally decades, of people that are amazing thinkers and resources who are willing to, open the door and help provide good advice. I think another thing too, and you mentioned this as you were giving an introduction, Kay. Longwood is an amazing place. It's a really grand and amazing place, and the goal of the program is not to make every place Longwood. It's about instilling in uh, frameworks of excellence in leadership and quality that can be taken anywhere. And I've worked at a startup, I've worked at a small organization that grew into a medium. Now I'm at a large, and all of these really do relate. And it's that exposure to best in class and how you can apply it. And I think that once you're done with a program, you're not really done with it, because you do have the opportunity to continue a relationship. I think those are the things that are ongoing benefits to me.
I can definitely echo Ed's sentiment about networking. It's an everlasting benefit from the program. And not only do you get to network with garden leaders and visit other gardens while you're in the program, but you set the foundation of those relationships to continue on into your career. So now that I have this connection with Longwood, I even take my own staff twice a year to Longwood. They've allowed some of my team to stay overnight and work on tulip designs with them, learn how their operations function, because it's such a high level that sometimes it's hard to try and compare your own garden to the way that their operations are, but they're a great pillar to try to reach. So I continue to network with them continuously and keep that relationship strong. There also, the certificate programs are really wonderful in this iteration of the program. So you attain a certificate in strategic leadership, nonprofit, and data analytics, which was something very much out of my realm. So that was nice to be able to get that exposure. Another really great benefit that I had not had experience with was attending board meetings and board relations. And Paul Redmond, the CEO of Longwood, he really opens his arms to let fellows into his world and see what it's like to go through the motions of being a CEO, and having that opportunity to ask him questions, to attend the board meetings and be with people that have really wanted the legacy of Longwood to continue through. It's such an amazing opportunity, and not many gardens allow that. So that I really cherish that time that he took to be with us. And then to wrap that up, another really neat seminar that was continuous through the program was having public speaking and an executive coach. It really helped to build confidence. It wasn't something that I personally was lacking, but it did help me to pinpoint exact key things that when I'm in an interview or presenting myself, that it helped me to really have that confidence to talk and highlight what I'm good at and what my garden and like the benefits that they need. So just recently I was on like a local TV station. I thought, wow, I'm really thinking about that great public speaking and all of like the notes that I have from that. So I still carry a lot of the program and seminars and the education that I learned constantly.
That's a great segue into my next question, actually, which is about talking about some of the key areas of the program and how they benefited you, or like what you both doing it, and then also in some cases like Ed hosting it for things like the field placement. I know, like when we were talking before, both of you mentioned the garden placement as a real highlight. I wonder if you could each talk a little bit about your experiences, and that would be great.
Maybe Katie, you could start off because you participated in the modern version, and then I can add anything relevant to the sections.
Sure. So my field placement was at the Huntington Gardens in California. Our cohort unfortunately was at the tail end of COVID, so the international travel wasn't allowed, but it was a wonderful opportunity to go live in California, and it was actually my favorite part of the program. I was lucky enough to be paired with the director of the gardens, who was in her first year as their director, Nicole Cavender. And at the time, she had a very tight window of doing a 5-year strategic plan. So I was able to jump in the first day and her tell me, you're going to help me write this 5-year strategic plan in a month. And we don't have a committee. We're just going to knock this out. And it helped me to see her whole thought process as an, especially as a new director coming in. I was able to interview her staff to really help her see the insights for a team that she didn't know as well going in and how her vision could align with the team. So that experience I was able to carry to my current position as we came up with a strategic plan this year. And I was like, oh, I got that. Like I've been able to do this off the bat. I have so many ideas for the direction that I think the US Capitol should go. So that helped tremendously. And but besides the strategic planning, I also had the opportunity to collaborate on designs, interpretation, fundraising, GIS mapping because they have such a large team that I had the opportunity to, as much as I wanted to put effort into building that relationship and contributing to their efforts, they gave it right back to me. So I worked 8 hours a day. I was completely immersed in multiple projects and programs. And then I also had the opportunity afterwards to do consulting with them after because some of the projects were incomplete. And that was a great opportunity for me as I was transitioning into a new role to have consulting on the side, which was a first time thing for me as well.
I think on the side of the host too, I can speak to that. The slide that Kay showed that had all of the national international partners, those are all really amazing places, very strong reputations. But not only that, I think by signing on, they really have given a commitment to it being a meaningful experience, where it really is an open door of discovery and immersion. And our organization is one of the hosts. We've hosted two fellows in the last 3 years. We had one just last year, Malukan Kabide, who is an amazing human, and we loved having him. And he worked on a project here that was about opportunities to focus and enhance earned revenue capability, as well as partnering with us on some work on culture enhancement throughout the organization. And I had regular meetings with him one-on-one every couple of weeks. He joined all of our leadership team meetings. He participated in board meetings. And it was really, we wanted to give him a behind the scenes pass to what it was like to be with our organization. He really dove in head first. He contributed so much in a really condensed period of time. And I think the way that we approach it is really similar to what the other ones do. That I think the reputation of the program means that people that are coming in, they're pretty serious. And you want to give them the optimal experience to really make a difference and learn at your organization. So that was a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun to host fellows as well.
I like that you said that because I think coming in as a fellow, you want to give as much really show and demonstrate that you are up for the challenge, really any challenge, and are just appreciative of the opportunity. But it's also nice to know that like you're doing something beneficial and that you're not just following and being only mentor, that you're contributing to the organization. So it's nice to hear that.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you. Thank you both for talking about that. Um, Katie, this one is probably more for you, but about the cohort project, if you could just spend a moment or so talking about that as well.
Absolutely. So my cohort had 5 of us all together, and our focus was creating a toolkit, the one that Kay held up, the hot pink one, to support high-performing employees in growing their careers within an organization. So the start and culmination of that was a very long, I think it was 3 or 4 hours that we sat in a classroom and brainstormed ideas, very big picture ideas of what's important to us as professionals in public horticulture. And then we started to narrow it down, but just selecting the topic, it took us almost a month, which might have been a little excessive of a timeline to make that selection, but we wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page of being passionate about what we're going to work on for almost a year. So we ended up focusing on employee development, which from all of our experiences, that was something that was a concern for a lot of our organizations, that it was either they weren't providing enough professional development, or we found challenges with the interview process or recruitment. So after we sent out a survey with the APGA, that really helped us to hone in on what are public garden leaders looking for. And the process was really fun because it involved so much research and communications with other public garden leaders and their staff to know, okay, what is something that's tangible, that's going to be usable for the future, that we feel like we could distribute and be proud of, and that people will use. So we created this toolkit that has various appendices that you can just pull out a card, and it lists, here's various sections of interview questions that are touching on soft skills, hard skills, technical abilities. Here's how you should be recruiting. These are the statistics, which they were from 2021, 2022, so a little bit dated, but this is what the diversity in public gardens is or isn't. So it really helped me to have a better grasp of public gardens as a whole, and to work with a completely brand new team on the ways of working, and deciding what's important to each of us and how we're contributing to a main goal. So the process lasted almost the entirety of the program, and we fit it into our calendars to make sure that we were giving enough time and dedication to that cohort project, because with everything else going on, the time goes by very quickly. So we tried to make sure that it was always at the top of our minds. And towards the end of the program, that's when we started to work with the graphics, and the advertising to create the actual tangible kit. But the process was so much fun, and we learned about each other a lot. And I continued to use it, and I distributed it to everyone on my team. So hopefully it's beneficial to other people in public gardens, but it was one of my favorite parts of the program too.
And I guess I just say on the employer end, that publication has been really helpful for me, and it's something that our people and culture team provides to our managers, and that's one example of many of the useful projects that we as employers actually do regularly utilize. They're really good, really, really well done.
Yeah.
And
So, I mean, as someone who, I mean, I wrote just like a standard dissertation that's now sitting in a library. I think the idea this is something you're creating that will be used, that's a service to public gardens, is really amazing. Sorry, Katie, I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh no, I'm glad it's being used, and that it's a lot of time put into it. So the hope is that it's actually a usable document.
Yeah, that's fantastic. We don't have a lot of time left, but I also want to make sure we touched on the flex budget, which again, Katie, this may be more you, because I know the previous program I think didn't have that as part of the component. But if you could talk a little bit about how you decided how you wanted to use your flex budget and how that learning helped advance your career.
Sure. The opportunity for a flex budget is amazing. You're not going to get this in any other program. The way that I went through mine is I just created a spreadsheet of all the opportunities I was looking for, and then budgeted it out for the entire year. That's just the way my mind works. But with mine, I was able to go to 3 trips, a trip to Atlanta Botanic Garden, to Phipps out in Pittsburgh, which we did as a group, and then to California to visit 4 gardens out there. I also saved money aside to do a certificate from the online Harvard Business School for Sustainable Business Strategy. That was really important to me, just hitting on the sustainability aspect that I didn't see in the rest of the program. And then I also was able, just like our thought leader dinners that you spoke about, you're able to use that money, at least at the time, to also go to lunch or to breakfast with other public garden leaders to be able to have one-on-one time with them. So I took out quite a few leaders to try and ask very specific professional development career questions, operation questions. So that's how I really use the bulk of my money. Seminars, conferences, and certificates were pretty common in my group, and travel.
Yeah, and I would say that that still would be an appropriate use of it would be for networking. That's yeah, the idea is to really advance your knowledge, advance your career in a way that is specific to your goals. Um, Also, what's it like to live as a cohort at Holly Hill? I mean, it's hard sometimes to, if you are used to being on your own, to uproot, move to Pennsylvania, live in a house together, if you've been used to living in your own place. What was that like?
It's very odd to go from living on your own for many years to living in a group house again. But Holly Hill is beautiful. They provide so many resources to make the fellows comfortable. There's a lot of catered meals as well. So even having to buy groceries every week wasn't really a thing either, which was a great benefit. I didn't have to cook as much as I thought I was going to, even though I love it. Um, Creating boundaries from the beginning was something everyone in our group wanted to do initially. So that really helped us to lay out some ground rules of how we wanted to live together and how we adapted. So it made us become like a little family. We shared meals all the time, we shared our cultures, and we relied on each other a lot. So it's just like that adaptability time in the first month or two can be a little challenging, but there's enough space and the house is quite large that there's plenty of room to do your own thing. You also have all of Kennett Square in Pennsylvania, which is filled with gardens and arboretum to visit. So you have the opportunity to go to other locations, and the schedule allows you to see your family and friends on the weekends as well, and with break periods. So it's a great experience, and the program wouldn't be the same without living together.
Thank you. That's really helpful. And yeah, there are a few reading weeks built in. Uh, One at the end of August. There's American Thanksgiving. We give that week off. There's 2 weeks at the end of December. And then again, there's usually some time set aside for instructional travel after the placement. So there's some balance in there too. I have one more question for you, Katie, and then I'm going to open it up to both of you for like a closing question. One of the challenges I know some applicants have is they often have to leave their jobs. Not every job is able to sort of hold the position for them for somebody to then come and do the program. And so that can be a little challenging. I know, Katie, you did something really fantastic that then allowed you to go back to your same employer, but in an elevated role. So I wondered if you could speak a little bit about that.
Sure. I also love the place I worked, so I wanted to stay in touch with all of my network that I had here. But when I left, and I didn't go on sabbatical, I completely left the position, and I continued to reach out like probably every month to my director and assistant director, just saying, this is what I'm learning in the program. I think you should implement this back at Capitol Grounds and Arboretum. I just went to this course. I just visited this garden and shared some photos. So I tried to keep an open dialogue the entirety of the program so that I would stay at the top of their mind, knowing that there were certain positions that were in the works, but I also work for the government, so it takes a little bit more time to sometimes create those positions. And it just happened that I had the opportunity to apply to the position and they let me know that it finally was open right near the end of the program. So I was able to transition from the program directly into a new role pretty much immediately. But it was keeping up that friendship and professional network with my previous employer, so that I stayed at the top of their mind. So I highly recommend, even though that if you're leaving a position, always try and continue to have those conversations so that they know what are you learning and what skills could you bring back to your agency or your garden or arboretum. Because if they're not offering it and you took the initiative to go attain those skills on your own and they wanted you as an employee, they're more than willing to bring you back in a higher role.
Yeah, and I think that was really fantastic that you did that. So I think having that advice is helpful. We do provide career counseling, resume workshops, cover letter workshops. You meet with someone who's an executive recruiter about how to work with a recruitment firm. So we provide some of that structure, but I know it is still a leap of faith. And so I think those are really great tips, Katie. So thank you. I wanted to close with any advice you have for applicants or like as uh, the people on listening to this or thinking about applying for the program, like what would be your parting advice to them on like how to show their best selves either in their application materials and the interview? What are your thoughts?
Maybe I can start. I would just encourage people to learn more about the program. There's a lot of really good information that's available on the website. It's great that people are here to learn more about it with us today. Um, the alumni network is significant, so you can also talk to people that have been through it and get some of their perspectives too, and apply if it sounds interesting to you. And I think really let yourself shine through in the materials. Because I think the selection committee, they really just want to get to know who people are and what kind of difference they want to make in the world. Repeating something from earlier, don't preemptively exclude yourself from the running. There are many people that you may consider sort of non-traditional candidates that have been supremely successful in this. And I think also the interview period is a lot of fun because you'll end up meeting and spending a lot of time with people who think the stuff that you think is cool is interesting, which I don't know about how many other people join me in this, but this is kind of a niche business. And talking with people that share the same passions that you do is really invigorating. And it's worth it to have that immersive experience to get to know other people that are passionate about similar and sort of complementary things. Yeah, I think if this sounds interesting, I'd really encourage you to apply and just sort of show your best honest self. Let the rest take care of itself.
I completely concur with everything that Ed just said. Have the courage to apply. It's a wonderful opportunity, even just to go to Longwood and to see how they operate. But sitting on the opposite side of Ed, when I was being interviewed by the panel, the experience is so immersive in that interview process anyway. It's not as intimidating as exciting to be around some of the top public garden leaders in the country, first of all, and to have the opportunity to sit in the room and learn about what they do, and how they how they advanced in their careers and got to the roles that they're currently in. But it's also, you get to be around other plant people, which for everyone in our field, that's like very exciting to do and to have that opportunity for. So apply, take a chance because you're only going to benefit from the process and learn more about yourself in that way.
Thank you both. I think that's really great advice. Yeah, I think please don't reject yourselves. Put yourself out there, see what you can get out of it. And I also think that idea of authenticity is really important. So there are, like, for example, a few essays as part of the application. It's much better if you write it yourself, even if it's not perfect, because that shows your true self and your true person. And that's what we're really looking for is sort of your motivations, your dedication. It doesn't have to be perfect writing. It's more about who you are and what your goals are, I think is really important. So I did drop the website link in the chat so you can have that. I think we also have a slide provide with some contact information. I know we didn't end up having time for questions, so please feel free to email the Fellows Program at longwoodgardens.org. We'd be happy to provide answers to any questions you may have that we didn't reach today. And Katie and Ed, I just want to thank you both so much for taking the time to talk with our prospective applicants and people who are interested in the program about your experiences. You've both have been such incredible ambassadors for the program. Really appreciate it.
Really appreciate the opportunity. Thanks for inviting us.
Yes, thank you. This was wonderful.
Thank you both so much. Take care and hope to see your applications. Bye.
Bye. Have a good one.
Bye.